Hi, lovely people. Welcome to Vibe Fashion's YouTube channel. My name is Eunice. Thank you for clicking on this video. In this video, we're going to be learning how to make this beautiful sleeve, and it is called a tulip sleeve. It is very simple and easy to make. Can you see how beautiful it is and structured? I hope this is something you would like to learn. Kindly stay tuned while we get right into the tutorial. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please kindly hit on the subscribe button to subscribe. Subscription is free, very free. And also put on your notification bell so that you get notified once I post a new video. Thank you. So to get started, we're going to be drafting our basic sleeve. So on this basic sleeve, I'm going to be drafting it on fold. So you can see I'll be drafting on my pattern paper. So I went ahead to fold my pattern paper into two. Having done that, I'm going to draw my starting line. So this point is my starting line. It's always advisable to have a starting line. So next I'll come down by the cap's height of my client. And how can you get the cap's height measurement? You divide the bust of the person by 12 plus 0.5, which is half inch. Bust divided by 12 plus 0.5. And for my client, it is 4 inches. So I'm marking at that 4 inches. So here now is my cap's height line, or the cap's height line rather. So next I'll come down by the sleeve length. From the starting point, I came down by the sleeve length, which is 10 inches in this case. So I'm just going to straighten out my line. So next I'll come to the cap's height line. This is me just labeling the points. So next I'll come to the cap's height line and I will enter the armhole measurement of my client, and her armhole is 8 inches. I came about these 8 inches by dividing her bust by 6 plus 1.5. So when you divide the bust by 6 plus 1.5, you have the armhole measurement. And that's what I went ahead to enter on the cap's height line. So now you can see I'm drawing a slanted line to connect to the folded part of my starting point. I hope that makes sense. So having done that, I'm going to place my tape now. So you can see that I have 9 inches there. Of course, it's a slanted line, so it became longer. So that's 9 inches. I got the midpoint of my 9 inches. And so when I have the midpoint, half the upper part will be up and then the down part will be the down part of the sleeve. So the midpoint now, I'm also getting the midpoint of the midpoint, if that makes sense. I had 9 inches and I went ahead to get the midpoint, which gave me 4.5. So I got the midpoint of my 4.5. So at that midpoint of the 4.5, I went up by half inch at the upper part, and then at the down part, I came down by half inch of my sleeve. Can you see? I'm going to be connecting those 3 points I pointed at right now. So can you see? Just take note of the placement of my armhole curve, or my pattern master rather. You see I created like an arc shape, and then to connect the down part, can you see I'll connect from the midpoint to the midpoint of my 4.5 and then all the way to the end of the sleeve side seam. Okay, so having done that, I'll come down by 2 inches and enter the upper round arm of my client. So here I came down from the cap's height by 2 inches to enter her upper round arm. So here is the upper round arm line, and then I'll go ahead and enter half of her upper round arm measurement, and that's 15 inches. So half of it, that's 7.5. So at this sleeve length here, what I have there, the measurement I have there is 13 inches. So 13 divided by 2 also is 6.5, excuse me. So I'm just connecting my points like this. So can you see? So our basic sleeve is ready. It is that simple. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out. So here we have our basic sleeve, and this is what it looks like. So now to create our tulip sleeve. So from the center point of the sleeve, that's the crease line I have there, you can see that that's the middle. I'm going to, from the center, I'm going to come inwards, that's towards the other side. Just take note of where my tape is pointing at. I'm going to come in by 3.5 inches. So can you see? I'm marking my 3.5 inches towards the other side. So you can either do it to the left or the right, whichever part you decide to. So then from the down part, I'm going up by 1 inch at that point, at the sleeve length. I went up by 1 inch. So now I want to connect the point where I marked my 3.5 to the point where that's the middle point where I went up by 1 inch. Then I will connect it to the base of the sleeve, just as you can see me doing. So I'm going to curve it now to meet the 3.5 that I marked. So you just want to place your curve correctly so that you won't have a funny shape. So here we are. So just going to blend up this point. So basically this side is what I need. The other side, I'll be cutting it out and of course throwing it away. So can you see how I'm cutting it out? So this is what I need to achieve my tulip sleeve. So now, having cut it out, I will place this on my fabric and I'll cut two pieces each. That's two pieces for the right, two pieces for the left hand, and then also two pieces of my lining, two pieces of my fabric. So in all, I'm cutting 8 pieces of this, four linings and then for fabric, so which is what I have done already. So as you can see, I have them all here. So here are my fabrics, that's the Ankara fabrics. I have four of them. So and you can see that right now I have added my sewing allowance. So this is what I'm going to explain. At the upper part of this sleeve, I added 3.5 inches. That's at the cap area because I want to have some pleats at that point. You can see that by the sides here round, I added just half inch because I'll be using half inch to turn it. So remember, I didn't talk about hemming allowance. This sleeve, you don't need hemming allowance. So here at the side, at the upper part, I added 3.5 inches. This is for me to achieve a small pleat there. I'll be sewing this sleeve on just 1 inch by the side. So that extra 2.5 is for me to achieve that pleat to give it structure. And then you can see at the down part of the sleeve, at the hem area, I just added just 1.5. I hope we understand what I'm trying to say. So now next thing I'm going to do is to apply gum stay to my lining. I'll be applying gum stay to my lining. So this will actually help to give structure. So here now I have my my medium weight gum stay. I'll be applying it on all the four pieces of my lining. So you want to make sure that you apply it in the correct direction. So this is what I mean. You can see that the sleeve now, the shape is different. So you need to face them towards each other. I hope that's we understand what I'm trying to say. This is what I mean. You can't turn it to the wrong direction. Can you see how these two are facing each other? So the other two too will have to face each other. If you interchange them, you're going to have two same sides, if that makes any sense. Can you see? So you want to make sure that they are facing each other in the right directions, not in the wrong directions. So I'm just going to cut out my gum stay and press it on it. Excuse me, please. Stay to the sleeves, you see, to all the linings, you see. So now the next thing we want to do is to place, by placing it this way, you can see that this is for this and this is for this. So now I'll bring in my sleeve, placing it right side of the sleeve facing the lining like this. And then I'll also place right side of the sleeve facing the lining here also. Then right side of the sleeve, the same thing for this one, like this. Of course, this way also, like this. So let's use this tool to describe what we're doing. So I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and I'll sew it on half inch this way. This is the hem of my sleeve and this is the cap area of the sleeve. So I'm going to be sewing on half inch like this in a curving manner to this point, to this part where I have my curve ending. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side too, and then I'll show us what to do. So here I'm done stitching the down part of my sleeves, as you can see, and then I notched the seam allowance, and then of course I gave it a nice press. So this is me turning it to the right side rather. And you see, you can see my notches. You want to notch it so that it can relax well. And you can see how I pressed it. I pressed it in a way that you notice, you see my Ankara showing on the side of the lining. You want to make sure that you do that so that the lining doesn't extend and is showing in front. Just iron it properly so that your Ankara fabric can just go in a bit to the lining side. This will give you a more neater finishing. I hope we understand that. So I've also done the same thing for the other sleeve. So right now I'm going to place my sleeves right side facing right side. Can you see? I'm going to be holding the Ankara together and then I'll flip the lining to the other side. So now this is the side. So I'm taking this to my machine and then I'll sew on my seam allowance of 1 inch. So I'll do that, making sure that they are aligned. You don't want the Ankara to shift to the side where the lining is. So you want to just do this very carefully. So I'll do that and come back and show us. So I've sewn my sides together. And you see what I have on the right side. So I'm going to go ahead and notch that point where, can you see at the side where the Ankara and the main fabric joins together. This is so that it can allow that point to relax well. So you want to just notch that part. So can you see? So I'm going to press my sewing allowance open. So I've used my pressing iron and press that side opened. So I haven't pressed my sewing allowance opened. This is what I have. So you can see now that we have one piece. So I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and chop stitch the opened part, which is the cap area. So next thing I'll do after doing that, can you see I've brought in my basic sleeve pattern. So I'm placing it by the side now. Just take note of what I'm doing. So can you see the extra that I have there? That's what I'll be pleating at the cap area. So first I'll get the center part of my sleeve. So from the crease line I have on my paper, I can actually see the center. I can actually get the center part of my sleeve by placing it that way. So I'm going to notch that point. So this is the center of my sleeve, the middle of the sleeve. So I'll flip it to the other side and notch the other side also. So once I do that, I'll take this to my sewing machine and top stitch the opened part and then show us how to achieve the pleats. Okay, so I'm done top stitching. So this is me overlapping my sleeve to create the tulip. Can you see? I placed them overlapping on top of each other. You want to make sure that the notched point are on top of each other. That's they are aligning. That's what I mean. I'm just going to create my pleats using the excess that I have on the, or that's after the knot, the center that I notched. I hope we understand what I'm trying to say. I'm just going to create pleats. Just want to create tiny pleats, and then I'll use my safety pin to secure it and take it to my sewing machine and sew the pleated parts down. So exactly what I did at the upper part is what I'm doing to the excess also that I have at the down part. And you see how sleeve is already coming out well. So it's really simple. You see, it's giving us everything it should give. So can you see? So I'm just going to take this to my sewing machine, stitch it down, then I'll show us what we have on our blouse. I'm making this for a blouse. I'm going to show us the outcome. If you have watched this video up to this point and you are yet to subscribe, please, 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 and please hit the subscribe button to subscribe, and also put on your notification bell so that you get notified once I post a new video. Please feel free to like, leave a comment, and share. Thank you.